This morning's reading is Love Beyond Words by Sadhguru. Looking at the meaning of true love, Sadhguru gives us a powerful process to take love beyond words and make it an enduring quality within. He says, every action that we do is in some way to fulfill certain needs. If you see this, there is a possibility that you can grow into love as your natural quality. When you talk about love, it has to be unconditional. There is really no such thing as conditional love and unconditional love. It is just that there are conditions and there is love. The moment there is a condition, it just amounts to a transaction. Maybe a convenient transaction, maybe a good arrangement, maybe many people made excellent arrangements in life. But that will not fulfill you. That will not transport you to another dimension. It is just convenient. We need to recognize what is a transaction and what is truly a love affair. A love affair need not be with any particular person. You could be having a great love affair, not with anybody in particular, but with life. What you do, what you do not do, is according to circumstances around you. Our actions are as the external situation demands. What you do outside of yourself is always subject to many conditions. But love is an inner state. How you are within yourself can definitely be unconditional. Love is not something you do with someone else. Love is never between two people. Love is what happens within you, and what happens within you not be enslaved to someone else. For 15 to 20 minutes daily, go sit with something that means nothing to you. Maybe a tree, or a pebble, or a worm, or an insect. After some time, you will find you can look upon it with as much love as you do your wife or husband, or your mother or your child. Maybe the worm does not know this. That doesn't matter. If you can look at everything lovingly, the whole world becomes beautiful in your experience. You realize love is not something that you do. Love is the way that you are.
So what is love? Well, The Guardian, which is a British daily newspaper, decided that they were going to, oh, you're familiar with them, okay, decided they were going to gather writers from different fields, science, psychotherapy, literature, religion, philosophy, and asked them to give their definition of love, which you can imagine they were all a little bit different, and I want to share those with you. The physicist said, well, love is chemistry. Makes sense, right? Biologically, he said, love is a powerful neurological condition like hunger or thirst, only it's more permanent. He said, we talk about love being blind or unconditional in the sense that we have no control over it. Not surprising, says the physicist, since love is basically chemistry. From an evolutionary perspective, love can be viewed as a survival tool, a mechanism. He says that we have evolved to promote our long-term relationships and our support of our children, promoting feelings of safety and security. The therapist says love has many guises. He said, unlike us, the ancients didn't put all of the different emotions under one label of love. They used more than one word. Philia, which they saw as a deep intimacy between close friends or family members, or soldiers who were on the battlefield together. And then there was ludus, and they described that as a more playful affection, like flirtatiousness, if that's a word. Pragma is that mature level that develops over a long period of time between couples and involves actively practicing the goodwill, commitment, compromise, and understanding. Now, the therapist then talks about the agape love. And that's a much more generalized love, because it's not about anybody being excluded from that love. It's about love of humanity, for all of humanity. And then there is self-love. They list that as the last one. I think is the most important. Aristotle discovered, and many therapists will tell you, that in order to care for others, you must first care for and love yourself. Absolutely. That is a requirement. Love is all of the above, she says. It's unrealistic, however, for us to expect to experience all those different types of love with only one person. That's why we have family. That's why we have community. Those things are so important. So we're fed in each and every different way. So the philosopher says, love is a passionate commitment. His answer remains a little elusive, because love is not one thing. It can be love for parents, partners, spouse, neighbors, friends, God, and on and on and on. And those all, he says, have different qualities. So, maybe it's blind love, one-sided, tragic, steadfast, fickle, reciprocated, misguided, unconditional. There are all those different kinds that the philosopher throws in there. At its best, however, love is always a kind and passionate commitment, one that we nurture, that we develop through our relationship, which is why it's more than just a powerful feeling. Without commitment, it's simply infatuation. Without passion, it's mere dedication. And without nurturing, even the strongest, longest, biggest love can wither and die if we don't nurture that. The romantic novelist says, love drives all great stories. So, what love is depends on where you are in relation to it. When we're secure in our relationship, in a love relationship, it can feel as mundane and necessary as breathing the air. We don't think about it. We exist within it, it almost goes unnoticed. When we're deprived of it, however, it can feel like an obsession. It can feel all-consuming, and actual physical pain, many people will describe. So the novelist is saying that love is the driver for all great stories, not just romantic stories. The love of parent for their children, love of family, and love of humanity. And what separates us from that love are the obstacles that get in the way, that we allow to get in our way, that we don't decide to move through. And it's usually at that point that love is everything. Can you relate to that? The nun says, love is free, yet it binds us. She says, love is much more easily experienced than it is defined. Well, I think we can all relate to that. As a theological virtue, by which we love God above all things and our neighbors as ourselves, she says it seems remote until we encounter in the life of another, in acts of kindness, of generosity, of self-sacrifice. Love is the one thing that cannot hurt anybody. And the paradox of love that she talks about is that although it's supremely free, it attaches us with very strong bonds, doesn't it? It can't be bought or sold. There's nothing love cannot face. And she says that love is life's greatest blessing. I would agree with that. So, you ask anybody, any age, any culture, any religion, any tradition, what is love? And mostly their responses are going to be very similar. Because love involves feelings one way or another. Yes, it's romanticized by music, by literature and media. And most of the time we're yearning to recreate that intimacy based on what we think is ideal. Our deepest longings is what's shaping what defines love for us. Maybe we long to have an intense passion, or that perfection, that flawlessness in our life, or we are looking to be fulfilled through joy or happiness. Mitsugi Satome wrote this: if you were all alone in the universe, with no one to talk to, no one with which to share the beauty of the stars, to laugh with, to touch, what would be your purpose in life? It is other life, it is love, which gives your life meaning. Isn't that the truth? And love and relationships are exactly what we're celebrating today. And we're focusing our energy on those that we love, those we have consciously and willingly invited into our lives. We've invited them into our lives by our own choice. And choice is the essential issue of what makes us as humans so special. Because we're always at choice. Life becomes meaningful because of our ability to choose. And the difference in being programmed to love and the choice to love is why I believe love is so significant. For instance, when you ask another person to support you through an event in life, for instance, you're actually giving that person a gift of you. You've allowed that person, invited that person to come in and make a significant contribution in your life. And by the two of you, or however many, working together, you both are benefiting. There's an exchange of love, of appreciation, of respect. And that act of generosity comes full circle when you let that other person know that they've made a difference in your life, and vice versa, as you make those exchanges. That's probably my favorite part about the spiritual community, is we have that exchange going on all the time. We're focusing on love. We focus on supporting and nurturing one another in our relationships. We're supporting one another through whatever it is that's going on, loving each other through that experience, regardless of what it looks like. Love requires that we give what we most value: our heart, our mind, and our soul. And it is given so freely here and with such an open heart that it's just a bit overwhelming sometimes, quite frankly. I read a quote, and honestly, I don't know who wrote it. I am going to share it with you, though. The glory of friendship is not the outstretched hand, nor the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is the spiritual inspiration that comes when they discover that someone else believes in them. Honestly, I feel like that really sums up what we have here. And I think that is just something that we can really focus on. Knowing that we're loved, knowing that we're supported, knowing that we're nurtured through whatever life shows us. It behooves us to remember that our heart is connected to something much bigger than we are. We can call that spirit, we can call it God, we can call it life, we can call it universe, we can call it whatever we want to call it. What's important is that our heart is more than just our body's most important organ. It's the essence of our spiritual and emotional being. Our mind is the content of who we are, of what we know, whereas our heart is our essence. Our heart isn't subject to the chaos or limited by pain or fear or the neuroses. It's joyful, caring, loving, a source of incredible richness, a richness that can't be squandered, that can't be lost. It is our core, the essence of who we are. a reservoir of very powerful love and infinite compassion. And you know what? Everyone has it. Everyone is it. Doesn't always show up that way. We don't always see it outwardly. However, it is the absolute truth that we are all that. Love comes into existence when you know who you are in your essence, and you can recognize the other person as yourself. Loving people means believing in their potential, seeing their potential, sometimes for them. It means treating people with kindness and with gentleness. Loving the people in your life means celebrating their successes with them and being supportive and nurturing when they are not feeling so darn successful. The Dalai Lama said, the reason why love brings such great happiness is simply that our nature cherishes it above all else. The need for love lies at the very foundation of human existence. It results from that profound interdependence we have with one another. And because we all share an identical need for love, it is absolutely possible to feel that anyone we meet, whatever circumstances, is a brother or a sister to us. No matter how new the face, how different the dress or the behavior, there is no significant difference between us. Our basic natures are absolutely the same. Ultimately, humanity is one, and this small planet is our only home. And if we're to protect the home, each of us needs to experience that sense of universal altruism. Love requires action. It's not a thing that we try to get for ourselves. Instead, it's an action we express to others through sharing, through serving, through giving. And when you look at life through the eyes of love, the whole world becomes a beautiful, amazing place. You realize that love is not something that you do. Love is who you are. I'm going to close this morning with an absolutely beautiful poem entitled Believe in Your Heart. And this author is our good friend Unknown. So, we all know him, her, whatever. Believe in your heart that something wonderful is about to happen. Love your life. Believe in your own powers and your own potential and in your own innate goodness. Wake every morning with the awe of being alive. Discover each day the magnificent, awesome beauty in the world. Explore and embrace life in yourself and in everyone you see each day. Reach within to find your own uniqueness. Amaze yourself and rouse those around you to the potential of each new day. Don't be afraid to admit that you are less than perfect. This is the essence of your humanity. Let those who love you help you. Trust enough to be able to receive. Look with hope to the horizon of today, for today is truly all we ever have. Let a little sun out as well as in. Create your own rainbows. Be open to all your possibilities, all possibilities and miracles. Live this and every day well. Thank you so much for being here this morning as I shared this truth as I understand it.